Welcome back, guys, to the weekly recap show. This week you just have me and Zach.
Hi.
Jacob's having some technical issues back at his place, both with his computer and his phone. So we're hoping to try to get that fixed before we come into the next week's episode, because we start the tournament and we definitely don't want our DM out for that. So this week's episode, though, not a very eventful one. So we weren't gonna have anyone join us anyways, and now we don't have Jacob. So now it's just the two of us. Going forward, I don't think this is a horrible idea. To either, hopefully, we could have Jacob every weekend or every week. We would have three people set up, and then only when we need an extra person will we have the extra person. If someone's main story arc, or if there's something major going on with that person in the episode, that would be the only time that I think we really need to add in an extra person. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into this episode. Me and Zach will just have some small discussions about what happened. There wasn't really anything. But the recap of this episode is basically we did not start the tournament because Brady had been called into work. So he had to leave an hour and a half early from our stream. And because this is literally the finale of Chapter 1, we were not going to sit here and do it without him. So we did a before the tournament episode, which basically ended up becoming a lot of shopping and just doing like some random stuff that wasn't eventful. It just wasn't. It wasn't a great episode. Not a lot of us just weren't involved for it. It was kind of just more of a episode that we were on to do, and we're just waiting for the tournament at this point.
It was basically like a classic kind of filler episode
Yeah, it's
of a
like
TV show.
you'll have one of those every once in a while. We haven't had one in a long time. We've had a lot of shit going on, so I'm not too upset about this. But me and Zach were talking about it before. It was just kind of a nothing episode. But to start, what happened was we all woke up in the morning. We have realized, or no, we all came back from Innistrad. And we appeared back in our tavern. Realized we had been in there for a pretty good chunk of days. I forget how many days we'd been gone, but it was a little over a week.
I think it ended up being like 11 days, 10 or 11 days.
Yeah, so the Innistrad thing, we felt like we were there for maybe a day, but it ended up being 11 days, as dimensional travel works like that. So, we didn't miss anything either, because the tournament starts, I think, in like 2 or 3 days now that we've been back. My character just kind of went to bed. I think everyone just kind of went to bed. There wasn't anything major that happened that night. We all went to bed. Woke up the next morning. I redrew our teleportation circle so that we can teleport back to our place, as it is not a circle that's always there. I don't know what the word for, in my head I just can't think of what that would be. A permanent circle, there we go.
Permanent, yeah.
A permanent teleportation. We don't have one of those yet. That'll take an enchanter to do. So before Brady left, he had a long talk with his wife, or Zygon had a long talk with his wife at the Platinum Dragon's temple. Basically, what's going to happen is Zygon's wife was already planning to leave to go to Vasselheim and start doing work for the Platinum Dragon there. There is a major temple in Vasselheim for the Platinum Dragon, so her and her daughter are going over there, and then because our group's already heading over there for Lochnar's main story arc, we will end up meeting them over there anyways. Basically, the whole conversation was just kind of a catch up on like what's going on, and he gave them gifts of the sapphires that we got from the dragon fight, and left them and then left us. And then I had helped Thea with a situation where her plant wasn't growing, so I cast Speak with Plants, and I talked to this baby plant for about 30 minutes about like where it wanted to grow, and it wanted to grow in the cellar because it wanted a cold and damp space, so I took it down to the cellar. That was the extent of my episode. Abby, as Thea, she had a conversation with Miss Spencer. I forget her first name, but it was the Spencer girl who owns the winery. She has a sickness that is very much like Thea's mother's sickness was. And one of Thea's major goals is to figure out what the sickness is, because it has happened to a handful of people before, and it killed her mother. So she wants to be able to at least help Miss Spencer with this issue. So they had a long conversation. She tried to use a couple spells, and it just didn't work because it's a strong disease that we have not figured out, or she has not figured out yet. Anzu had a lot of stuff happen, kind of. He went out shopping a little bit. He took some stuff to the bank, some money to the bank, and then he flew around with the Flagon Slayer flag around the town to be like free promotion. Oh, Hannah.
Yes.
Thanks, Abby. Gosh. Oh man, that feels a lot better. Yeah. So Hannah Spencer. And then after that, Lochner literally was not doing anything this episode. He chilled out by the bar, passed out, and then we all joined back together eventually at night. And then also Braun had a situation that he had to go do for the Slayer's Take. He had to kill a water elemental that was in the sewers of Amon. So he had a little fight with a water elemental. Got a little bit of a payment for that after he finished it. And then I think one of the most major, or I guess the major thing that happened this episode was Stevan, who was the Minotaur who I had talked to down near the Alabaster Lyceum, which is the college in Amon that rivals where Anzu had the rivals the college / school that Anzu had started back in Western. And Stevan was going there. I had talked to him when I was heading down there to look for the scroll rack. And I told him, hey, come up and join the Flagon Slayers, because he was a Minotaur who had been shaving his horns down because he felt like he didn't belong. And when he came to see us, he had actually let his horns grow out, but he had to bring his mother because his mother wouldn't let him join the group unless she knew that it was somehow dangerous enough, but not dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, good enough for her son, but also not going to be dangerous enough that he gets killed. So they had a talk with Anzu. Anzu said Anzu had this big moment where he ran across the street to grab something from the Slayer's Take, because we had been gone for 11 days, so no one dropped off any quests for the Flagon Slayers to do. There was an imp problem in someone's bakery, so we went and did that. At the very end of the episode, everyone went, but the only people who fought were Stevan, Anzu, for some reason Stevan's mom, and Lochnar, which I thought was...
Yeah, she was like a...
She's a wizard.
Wizard, yeah.
She's a 9th level, or she's a pretty high level wizard. She's a teacher at the Alabaster Lyceum. So she has like really intense spells. I can get into that a little bit. I think I can answer a little bit for Jacob on that. But yeah, that was pretty much it. We destroyed the imps. She decided, okay, like, I can see you guys are probably good enough. She has a very, like, she's better than us attitude, but I mean, none of us care, because that's kind of, we've all been in that situation our entire lives, and that's kind of what all of us are digging out of in certain ways. So Stevan was our new recruit, and I'm really happy about that, because now we have we're getting a lot of diversity in our group. We've got a glyph, a glyph. I think it's a giant hippo person. Large hippo person. We've got a gith. Sorry, gith. Gith. We've got the Minotaur, which is Stefan. We've got, the rest are probably, I think, humans and a tiefling. But a lot more diversity than if you just had a bunch of humans from Amon join our group. So, let's just get into having a conversation then.
All right, yeah. So first note I have is kind of what your thoughts on Stevan joining the Flagon Slayers and also his mom. I could see his mom being in and out from like here on
Yeah,
out.
I think his mom's gonna be one of those characters that Jacob puts in there to almost specifically to annoy Hunter playing Anzu,
Yes.
because Anzu, if you guys didn't watch the episode, Anzu, he founded the Cobalt Conservatory up in Western, and the Alabaster Lyceum is the only other major college or slash school in like all of Taldore. Little there's smaller ones in other places, but he like for I don't know what for some reason I guess it would just be the rivalry that really gets to his head when he hears about the Alabaster Lyceum or the way that they teach. So yeah, he was really annoyed by the fact that she was from there and she was a professor from there. Um, so I think that's a really fun thing that's going to be around for a while, especially with Stevan joining the group. I think Stevan's a really fun person to put into the group. Um, I obviously was the one who first had the conversation, but I don't think he's going to be a person that I have a big relationship with. I think it should be Anzu
Yeah, I think he's
because
gonna have a good relationship with Anzu.
yeah, I think Hunter should take the role of like full on teacher with this guy because he's still a student learning how to do magic, and so same with the other kid that we have, Rupert, a magic user. I think he's a human, and so I think Anzu like regrowing and re-becoming this like professor who like what he used to be would be really good for him and kind of put him into a place of like he's able to finally start like doing what he wanted to do and what he enjoyed doing after his kind of like fall. Um, and I'll get into that real quick actually since I said I would. Um, I think one of the things, so a part of Anzu's backstory that I can understand is when we first started, Anzu had a drug problem, and that is and he left the school that he founded. He left the school he founded because of his drug problem, and he became a lot weaker than he had ever been. And so he started back at level 3 with all of us, which was a great story point. He's a guy who had a lot of power who now had to build back up, get his honor back, and start working and fighting towards what he really wanted, which works really well for his story. So Anzu technically should be like a level 20 wizard, and that's what Stefan's mom is or is close to because she used a ninth level spell. So I would assume that she's probably at least I think a level 18 wizard. So it's not that really that Anzu is a worse professor. It's more just like he lost his power, and I think that him like re-becoming a professor, taking on more and more people to teach will get him to a place where he really understands like what his whole storyline is. So
Awesome. And then the other note I had was train of thought.
nice. You just love it.
The teams for the tournament
Oh yeah,
coming.
yeah, yeah. I forgot to
We
talk about that.
drew the teams if you want to kind of talk about that.
Yeah, so forgot to put that in the recap. We drew teams for the tournament, which basically what we did was just we split up the people who are the
Split up
most.
like the common.
Yeah, the common. So the common grounds would be two people who can do the most damage, Braun and Lochnar. Um, Two people who have pretty much a mostly attack magic and like attack based range magic, Zygon and Anzu. And then two support players who can also heal would be me and Thea, Animus and Thea. Um, Druids, what a lot of people don't know is that Druids actually can be a full on healer if you build them that way. Like at this point, if Thea were to die and Abby created a new character, I could become the full healer for the group because druids have access to most of that magic. There's a couple things that wouldn't work the best because there's a couple things from clerics like traits and like their class that actually give them just a better ability to heal. But I know that Hunter was a little bit confused on that when we were talking about it. Um, but yeah, we did a random draw. I wanted I wanted to be with Zygon. I think it would be cool to be with Zygon, but I think it's gonna be cooler because me and Zygon got put against each other, which is gonna be a really interesting thing because we have two demons that are giving us our power that are against each other, and now we're going against each other. So it's gonna be like demon against demon essentially. Um, Jacob just rolled pretty much for
for the
random.
teams.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
so I
odds and
have
evens.
so the teams I have one team is Animus, Anzu, Braun,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other team is Zygon, Thea, Lochnar,
Yep.
which makes life really easy for you because you don't have to move cameras around.
Yes. If you guys check out the stream, everyone on the top row is on one team, and everyone on the bottom row is on one team, and that worked out really perfectly. So I think dynamic team dynamics. I think the other team that is not me, so Zygon, Thea, and Lochnar, may have a role playing kind of like a role playing Stonewall because Lochnar really has only ever like his only click like major click has been Anzu. Um, in the group, he doesn't like he's good. I have friends. He's good friends with most of the group. I don't know if that's true or not, but he's definitely like been more attached to Anzu since the start of the thing. So him being split apart from Anzu, put in with Thea and Zygon. Thea and Zygon already have this like kind of weird like love hate relationship where it's like Thea doesn't trust Zygon, so Zygon doesn't really like Thea for that. But at the same time, there's like a weird like they would still save each other in a situation, and I don't know what would bring either of them to do that, but they would. Um, Abby asked, "Am I gonna be playing Animus as a healer during the 3-on-3 fights?" She's asking my strategy. I'll play him as a support, and I will probably have major healing spells in it. But I think I'm also gonna have to play him as a tank. We'll see what I do. I can't actually. Never mind. I can't play him as a tank because Jacob
No, you got
banned.
Braun.
No, Jacob banned my elemental,
Yeah.
my elementals and my. I think he might have banned my wild shape too. He really wanted to take away the health pool that I have, which I think is harsh, but I understand because, I don't care. But yeah, I guess Abby, I will be playing as a healer because I can't play as a tank. So I'll be playing healer and support. Uh, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting thing. If you have anything to say, by the way, is it just the elementals? It might have been. I might still be able to turn into animals, but we'll see.
Yeah, there's a whole list of bands that
Yeah,
Jacob came up with.
even if I can play animals, it's not going to be as good. But we'll see how I'm able to fit that in. I might have to work on that this week. Talk to Jacob about that. Uh, yeah, honestly, she said it would be unfair if he took away my wild shape. Almost should have just had Abby on tonight, but this episode is not eventful. um,
It's alright.
it's okay, Abby. You'll be back. Don't worry. Uh, yeah, I think it would be unfair if he took away my entire health pool because my animals don't have that much more health. They are like in a dire wolf. If I conjured two other dire wolves and I became a dire wolf, well, our attacks would only be a +5 instead of my +11 on my magic attacks, and most of the other people in the group have like a +10, +9 on their attacks. So I'm already at a disadvantage on rolling, and then I would be at a disadvantage on health because all the dire wolves only have like 40 health to deal with. And Braun and Lochnar can both put out 80 damage per. Same with Anzu. Same with Zygon. Honestly, he could kill two dire wolves with one attack realistically. So I think you're right. It would be It would be really unfair if Jacob took away animal shape. But if he did do that, I think it would bring me to play a druid more as a support and healer, and I'm gonna have to figure out what spells to pull in that I have not used before, because I'm gonna have to become a lot more defensive and think more about my own health instead of thinking, oh, I'm down to 20 HP, time to turn into an elemental and get 130 HP. So, do you have any other talking points, Zach?
That's all I got.
All right, I think that's it for tonight then.
Awesome.
Not too eventful of an episode, not too eventful of a recap, but we will
No,
be.
these next episodes are gonna be real fun.
Yeah, this was a nice little brace for what's to come. We've got the finale of our entire chapter coming up, which will also mean we've got all of our new stuff coming in. We're gonna have new overlays, not a new soundtrack, but a revamped soundtrack. Hopefully, just more controlled. New art
Is
coming
the
in.
is the finale or is the tournament just gonna be one episode? Or
I
just
think it's gonna
splitting
be
it into
two. I think it's gonna be
two?
two.
Okay.
Jacob, I think we're gonna. It might be three realistically. I don't know how slow we're gonna play it. It could be 2 to 3 episodes. So the next 3 weeks will be our chapter 1 finale, and we're hoping to start in December as our final or as our start to chapter 2. We're gonna have a one shot in between all that though. So thank you guys for watching. I know there's only 2 of us on tonight, but we will be back next week, hopefully with 3 or 4 of us to talk about the first episode of the tournament, which, by the way, come check out on this Sunday. We will start the tournament off. It will definitely be an eventful episode, and it's going to be interesting. None of us really know what's to come, so Jacob has a big plan. We've all been excited for it for the past month and a half. Yeah. See you guys next week. Hope you guys have a good night.